All right. How you doing? I'm Spencer Aiken. I'm going to do a little demonstration today on what your body really does and why certain things are misleading to you. And I got a bunch of setups for you. So I have carbohydrates, I have fats, and I have protein. All right, so basically this is your body. All right, so whatever you're doing, you're going to take in calories in the form of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. How you divide those up is based on you and what your goals are. All right, protein is for building. Fats are for cells, body transportation as far as building the cell membranes, transporting our objects in your body such as red blood cells and stuff like that. It's also a base for other hormones. It's used for building, but not like protein is. Carbohydrates are used for energy, the ability to do stuff. All right, so fats, if you're up on the keto diet, if you get into ketosis, you can use fat for energy as well, although it's not a readily available energy source like carbohydrates. Can be used, better energy source. So, what does all this mean? We need a lot of carbohydrates in our system, okay? We need a lot of fats in our system, and we need a lot of protein. The more active we are, the more repair we need done, the more protein we need. The longer durational activities we do, the more fats we need because they are a higher calorie per gram source. There's 9 calories for every gram of fat we eat. Carbohydrates, not necessarily the high sustainability as fats because there's only 4 calories per gram. All right, so we need to eat 2 grams to equal even 1 gram of fat. So people who like to do high durational exercise like cycling might want to base their body more on fat energy sources. However, most people not doing long durational need more readily available. All right, so here's what's happened. Whatever you're going to do to mix in these in the amounts that your body needs, anything you go above and beyond what you're supposed to do is going to lead to storage. All right, so you're going to take in protein. So here you go. Your body can absorb a certain amount of protein at a little bit. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to ingest protein. Now, here's what happens. Your body will use a certain amount. The beauty of protein is that whatever you take in, your body probably has a need for because there's so much repair that needs going on. However, if you start to overflow that, guess what? The chances of your body using it for that are getting less and less likely. So you're going to do something with it. Most likely, you're going to have something to use it for. Some form of repair of your muscles, your bones, your hair, your nails, whatever. So you do have this little bit of overflow. Now, if you were to overflow the overflow, you're going to overflow and it's going to go into the body and be stored. Okay? All right, how do we store stuff in the body? We store it as fat. All right, so right now, this is the amount of calories our body has extra in our body. We used up these calories. That's what we have calories for, is to be used. All right, so we still potentially have another meal later to eat in the day. All right, so next, we're going to have fat in our diet. All right, so fat. We're going to, not necessarily as high amount, but guess what happens? When we eat too much fat, we overflow. Okay, all this overflow runs into our storage. Where's our storage? Fat cells. All right, so now we're storing this. All right, so we've already overflowed. Now we're going into our storage systems. Everything we go above and beyond our storage systems, it gets stored as fat. All right, so now we have our carbohydrates. Why is the carbohydrate jug so much bigger than the fat? Well, we tend to have better options for carbohydrates. Stuff that is really calorie dense and too many calories. All right, so, and it pours very easily. It comes out super quick, which means it is very likely to overflow very quickly. Okay, next thing you know, You have way too many calories before you even expected to have that many calories. So with carbohydrates, they're so readily available in the American diet that we overflow super quick. Now, all this extra in there is stored as fat. Okay? So whether you have too much protein, too much carbs, or too much fat, anything in excess of what your body needs is stored as fat. All right? So we have all this fat. This is Monday. Now, what if we do this again on Tuesday? What do we do again on Wednesday? Every day that we have too much, we get a little bit more fat, a little bit more fat. So it's not that we're getting fat all at once. Over time, over a year or over a month or over 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, we're just keep adding on our fat because we keep overflowing our body's capabilities. All right, so it's very simple. Find out what your body needs. Then stay at it, just above it if you're trying to build, or below it if you're trying to lose. Do not overflow your system. Whatever you're going to do, if you overflow that system, it's going to get stored. Okay, now, the beauty of protein, as I mentioned earlier, is our body only likes to have so much available at one time. We don't absorb it very well. Now, protein tends to come in very whole substances like chicken, meats, and such, and beans, that we get full very quickly. So it's unlikely we're going to have a ton of extra. Okay? We can only handle a little amount at a time, but we tend to get full very quickly. All right? Fat. We don't just go around eating a bunch of fat. Okay? We don't just sit and eat a stick of butter. Okay? We don't just eat scoopfuls of lard. Okay? However, with carbohydrates, we tend to snack on those all the time. Chips, cookies, crackers, pasta, pizza, bread. Okay? See how those are readily available to us? So we have a ton of those in our diet. Notice the difference? Now, anything our body doesn't need is going to get overflowed. So fats are less readily available in our diet. We do have fats available. When we can't get fat just eating fat. We have more carbohydrates available. So we really, truly, a lot of times pay attention to what our carbohydrates are. Because if we're paying attention to our carbohydrates, we're less likely to overeat. Because protein will make you full. Fats aren't really just a food source because they're mixed in with the other foods. But carbohydrates are really, truly, readily available in almost any food that we eat. So if we pay attention to those, we're less likely to overeat. So whatever your diet plan says, it's all about don't eat too many calories. Calories in versus calories out is an easy way to understand that. And yes, that's an oversimplification because sometimes there is other hormonal imbalances we need to worry about. We also need to worry about what your true calorie balance is, which takes somewhat of a professional knowledge base to understand that as far as mixing in your activity levels, your exercises, and your basal metabolic rate. But for the most part, these three things total up our total calories, and anything above leaves us with excess. That excess is fat, okay? So, hopefully this all makes sense to you. You have carbohydrates, you have fats, and you have protein. Protein is used up pretty readily in the body. Fats are used up pretty readily in the body. Carbohydrates are used only if you give the body the need for energy. So if you're sitting around all day at a desk job, or you're not being active in working out, or going and doing something active, your lifestyle is sitting on the couch a great portion of the day watching TV. You're sleeping many hours, okay? You're not getting activity. Your job is maybe, as a parent, maybe you're just going to watch the games of your kids perform and you're not doing anything active during. All of those aren't burning off your carbohydrates. So it's very easy to overeat your carbohydrates, and it's very easy to, well, it's not very easy, but a lot of people don't require their body to need the burning off of those carbohydrates. Okay? So, Pay attention to your carbohydrates, pay attention to your fats, and pay attention to your proteins. However, most people do very well when they pay attention to their carbohydrate intake because it's the one that is the easiest to tend to overdo. All right? But it's all a total for the day. Anything above and beyond your necessary total is going to get stored in your fat, okay? And make you fatter. All right? So, carbs, fats, protein. Used for recovery, used for many things. Carbs are used for energy. Okay? Too many carbs leads to storage. Too much fat leads to storage. Too much protein gonna probably lead to some form of storage. All right? So, that's all I got for today. Hopefully this all makes sense. If you do have any questions, just get a hold of me. I'm usually at Yumi United most days. So, I'm Spencer. All right? Thank you very much. Have an awesome day.